Ding 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 ding.
Fubble Time.
It always feels a little late. I don't know if it's just the way it does it feel like you're landing right on Fubble Time?
No, it's not letting me go live on my personal page for some reason. And so I'm dealing with that right now.
Okay, so are we live someplace?
Yes, we're live on Fubble. But
you're trying to link it over. Well, I will introduce us real quick. I'm Teresa Tomey.
And I'm Patrick Ziegler.
And we are
Fubble Entertainment. Leah's seeing us.
And this is Fubble Time with crazy technical difficulties all of a sudden.
I know. I don't know what's going on.
First time for everything. First time for everything. So while you are trying to figure out our world, I'm going to talk to you, Leah, and whoever else is watching, because Leah already knows this information. Donning the glasses. To give you just a little snippet of Jonathan Mangum's life. It's funny, I put my glasses on and I look right at your face and it looks like you're pronaming to me in his, he's bowing to me on his Facebook page, or on his jonathanmangum.com page. It's lovely. I hope you go and visit that, jonathanmangum.com. Jonathan was born in South Carolina. He moved to Alabama. He went to college in Florida. I am going to ask him why he doesn't have a thick Southern accent. I'm very curious. He started with improv with theater sports, local in Florida, doing 13 shows each week and attending college. I can't even fathom. Like, I think I was eating Pop-Tarts and watching Brady Bunch while I was going to college. Reruns. He began working with improvisers and hooked up with Wayne Brady, a familiar name for you probably. While in Orlando, he also appeared on such shows as Clarissa Explains It All, Fortune Hunter, Sequest. So he was dabbling in television and improv right out the gate. He eventually moved to Los Angeles, where he was joined by his Orlando improv troupe, and they were called House Full of Honkies. And
yay, I remember House Full of Honkies.
I remember you talking about House Full of Honkies.
Yeah.
They did a show, You Bet You're Honky, at the Acme Theater. So LA folks, you know what I'm talking about. He has been involved in television. He was on Married with Children. I mean, he goes in the Wayback Machine on some of the stuff that he was on. And he, along with his buddy Wayne, have been on tour throughout the U.S., all over the place. I wonder international. I'll have to ask him that too, I would imagine. Including a 2-year run in Las Vegas, where I've never been. I've never been to Vegas.
And including LaughFest that we got to work on.
Yes, I hadn't even gotten to that yet. Yes, the two of them came to LaughFest. He is a regular. I mean, there's so much, and we're going to talk about some of this. A regular, series regular. He has been on Comedy Central Strip Mall, Wayne Brady Show on ABC, Drew Carey Show. You remember that? Whose Line Is It Anyway? We know that. It goes on and on. He was in the movie The Bucket List. I'm just reading. And today, in addition to seeing him on our show, Fubble Time, you can see him on Let's Make a Deal.
So fun.
And on The Face Place on UJOKES, which is really fun. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
We haven't started the conversation yet. It's such a varied career. I'm excited to talk to him. How about you, Patrick? Shall we welcome Jonathan Mangum?
We shall welcome Jonathan Mangum.
Hi.
Woo!
How are you?
Good.
How are you?
I'm great. I just had my coffee, so it'll be kicking in about 4 minutes, and then I'm going to knock things over and probably say some bad words.
Stay with us during your coffee break, though, will you?
No, I just finished it, but it hasn't kicked in yet. So
that's what I mean. I was thinking kicked in like you need to grab the newspaper and go into another room.
Oh, I'm sitting on the toilet, right? This is a green screen. I'm on the toilet.
I love it. It wouldn't be Fubble Time if we didn't have a two jokers too, right?
Well, it wouldn't be-
Jonathan, so great to have you here. We were having I was having all kinds of technical stuff going on, but I did get to my homepage, so we are streaming onto my personal one as well. So, and we see that your lovely wife Leah, who we interviewed a while back, is here, which is exciting.
Yeah. And who you reminded me last night, your husband married us.
Yeah.
Which, I didn't forget that, but it just was, in the deep parts of my memory, you said it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. That was like 20 years ago.
I know we have I have a long history with Leah, but I didn't meet Leah that much more before I met you, really. So, or she met you.
Yeah. Well, as you start to get older, those times get shorter in our minds. But at the time, you would have said you knew her a long time, even though it was a couple years, right?
Right.
But as time gets more, we're like, oh yeah, that was nothing.
Totally.
That's a really deep thought.
Yeah, that's what coffee does to me too. When I poop and take a coffee, is when I do my best work.
It's when Patrick plays Angry Birds.
Ooh, angry turds.
Okay, now we're really going there, aren't we? Should we tell them about the conversation we had before?
No,
okay.
No.
Well, Jonathan, we're so thrilled that you're here, really. And, we've had the pleasure of working with you. I shared last night that Jonathan did our kids' TV show, Come On Over, with the late, great Fred Willard. It's so weird to say late, great, isn't it?
It is, yeah, but he's done so much good stuff, and even though it was very sad that he passed away, there's so many great memories I have of him and so many great things that he did that it's not as sad as you would think it would be, because it's like, oh, I mean, look at all this great stuff he's done, and it's all up here, and I'll always remember it. And so he did pass away, but he left so much great stuff and memories, and
I was watching, I think I was watching your reel yesterday. Was it your reel? Or maybe it was a UJOKES in the past that I was watching, and I was like, there's almost you and Fred Willard have almost a similar vocal. I don't know if it's a vocal pattern or the tone is the same. I was like, that sounds like Fred Willard. Oh, it's Jonathan. It was really interesting.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I heard
Fred was the thing that I wish I could do. Maybe I'll be able to do. I mean, he threads the needle really, really well by being awkward and goofy and dumb enough to be able to say terrible things and not get in trouble, right? So when Fred just says something just horribly wrong in his movies, he's played it kind of dumb and it's likable, and so he gets by. Like, I can't quite do that yet. I would love to be able to just, hey guys, and just say the wrong thing and just not get in trouble for it.
my husband does that, but
he gets in trouble every once in a while.
He gets in trouble for it.
So,
but I'm gonna want to come back. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah. So should we start with our first question that we always start off with? Is basically, how did you find that you were a creative person and wanted to go into the creative world? At what age were you like, I want to play around in this? And then at what age were you like, I'm really gonna kind of pursue this?
I did theater in high school and musicals and stuff, and that was really fun. But I was like, no one can make a living at that. So I went to college for engineering, and
oh wow!
After the freshman year, I didn't really like it. It was at Louisiana State University. I heard about the college program at Walt Disney World, where you can go to Disney during the summer and you can work in the theme park while you're taking classes for credit, and you're all living with other college kids in these apartments just for their college workers. And so, getting to a place like Disney World, where there was so many different performers and improv on the streets, and it was entertainment at its best, and just being in that environment was like, oh man, I can't go back to engineering. This is too much fun. So that kind of was when I started to think that at least engineering wasn't for me, and then started taking improv classes, and then just kept doing it.
That's fantastic.
I know. One of the in terms of doing improv, did you feel you were? I mean, were you just immediately attracted to it? Did you? I mean,
Well, the first time I saw it, it looked like a magic trick to me. I was like, "What? How did he? That's so crazy!" You know, whenever you first see it. Hi, Suzanne Sol. It just looks like a magic trick, and I was like, "Hey, what is this?" And the guy's like, "Well, Brian Howard was his name. Brian Howard and James Newport that ran Comedy Sports in Orlando." And they said, "Yeah, you want to come take classes?" So I took 2 classes, and they go, "Yeah, you ready? You want to go up on stage?" And I was like, "What?" So I went up on stage, you know, being terrible at it, but just started right away.
But you could have done that terrible if
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously a natural inclination to the craft. I mean, it sounds like you study it. I mean, listening to you talk about Fred Willard, I mean, you're studying as well. I mean, so have you always been a student of it as you've gone through it?
I wouldn't say like when you say study, it makes you think that you sit down and read a book on improv, and it's like, no, I do show. It all comes from doing shows and watching people do shows. So, I mean, I guess you could say study, but it's not really study in the way that you would, you know, I didn't take a bunch of improv classes except for those first couple.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about when you talk about other comedians, like I watch your UJOKES and I see you know, there's a bonding that happens with comedians. And I think about, you know, I watch Seinfeld's Comedian in Cars, and you can see that he loves the craft of comedy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I do love that. And, you know, I do appreciate it when someone I'm working with also loves that too. You know, you just have that in common.
And my husband did show up and said that he is watching in the basement with no speakers, with the speakers cranked, because usually when we're doing the show, I'm at home in Michigan, and today I'm in LA. So bravo for you, honey. You can listen without hearing aids.
What is he? Because he goes on to say, "No one to bust my nut for it." What does that mean?
Yeah,
show it. Yeah, people have to know that. Yeah, there's more to the quote. What the hell is going on in your basement, you perverted, sick people? What did I get myself into? What does Fubble mean? Oh my God. I can't believe
it. It means that she's not there to bust him for being loud and yelling at him and cranking at him. And we're going to leave it at that.
Okay. All right.
I've never busted his nuts.
No, stop. We
okay.
Okay, let's do a little improv and
No, let's not.
Oh my God, I love it. That's gold, because I don't think they're getting it. Anyway.
They will. It'll hit them on the way home.
Yeah. So let's ask this question about doing improv and writing. So you're a writer, and what for you, you know, what is the difference, and how do you like navigate between the two? Do you write sketches for your shows, but also you write script content, because you've got a few different shows that people can see actually. So can you explain your process a little bit around that?
As far as writing goes, it's kind of like improv. You know, you have your suggestion, you know, if you will, which is whatever the parameters of the project is, and you know, writing jokes is easy and fun. That's the easy part. The hardest part is writing, you know, the stuff that's not the jokes, which is more important. You know, the narrative and stuff, and how the story goes, and the characters and all that. That's all really hard, and that's why even on the top sitcoms on TV, that's why the writers are staying there till 2-3 in the morning every single night, because it's so hard to write a story, a believable story that works with all the characters. And then the jokes are the easy part, but that's also my favorite part. I enjoy the jokes quite a bit.
So have you been in a writer's room? Have you spent a lot of time in a writer's room? Is that
some time? Yeah, I've never been on staff on a show, which is what you call someone that's their job all day to to write. I have not yet done that, but I have been involved where I was on the Wayne Brady show, but then we'd walk over to the writer's room and write with them, and then so it was kind of a actor and writer stuff. So I am familiar with that world, and I have a lot of friends that do that for a living, and they're very helpful as well.
Do you have any passion to do that? I think a writer's room would just be horrifying.
I mean,
why you say that as we are writers?
As a staff writer, I think it would be really hard as a staff writer. I wouldn't mind being a producer in a writer's room, but being a staff writer would just be so hard, especially with jokes.
Well, the jokes are the easy part, and they really don't sweat that because they all need to be able to do that. It's the other stuff. And so it's like, if you're a showrunner, you're looking for those writers that are going to save the day. And like, hey, what if we have him come in and tell a lie, and then she finds out, and when they can break that story, whatever it is, then that person becomes very valuable. And that's why a lot of the top sitcom writers who go on to make their own shows, they aren't always the best at the jokes. They're the best at figuring out the story, which is, again, the hardest part. I forgot. It was a train of thought I was thinking, and I forgot what I was going to say.
About being in the room?
Being in the room. Would I want to do that? I would like to do that, but not. I don't want to be a staff writer just on any show. Like, hey, there's a new sitcom, and if it was something that I was involved with or that I helped make, yeah, sure, I'd love to do that.
Right.
Did you suspect your career would take the path that it has? I mean, like, it's such a varied. Like, what part about your career surprises you?
What surprises me about it? It's whenever I try to anticipate what's going to happen next, it's something completely like different. Like if you had said game show, I would be like, what? Where? What? On a game show? I wouldn't have even like. It doesn't make any sense. I've never done that before. It doesn't. Why would I be on a game show? And then boom, you're on a game show for like 13 years now. So it's just surprising in that you can't predict or prepare for whatever direction it's going to bounce you in.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you call Whose Line a game show? That's not really considered a game show, right? You're talking about specifically Let's Make a Deal.
Let's Make a Deal, yeah.
Yeah.
Whose Line is not a game show.
That has been on for 13 years?
Yes. Well, 12 years, Let's Make a Deal.
Wow. Yeah, I just remember you getting it and being like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I can't believe it's that long.
It's been 12 years. Yeah.
That's so great. I mean, it's interesting because I was thinking that you worked with Drew Carey and you worked with Wayne, and both of them are hosts of game shows now. Yeah, which is amazing. Can you just, because Teresa and I are game show junkies. We used to, when she lived in Grand Rapids and I lived in LA, we used to call each other when when $20,000 Pyramid was on, or $100,000 Pyramid at that time, and we would play over the phone. And I'm just so intrigued about the process. And can you share a little bit about how your week is, because you shoot like 3 episodes a day kind of thing? Is that how it works?
We do 3 episodes a day. So we're going back on October 20th to make more episodes, which is good. And it's a hybrid. So there'll be very few people in the audience, but there'll be people that are watching. And it'll be a hybrid. You'll see when it comes out. It's cool stuff. But normally we do 3 a day. We show up around 11. I think we start taping around noon for us, and we're done about 6.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, each hour-long program. It's an hour show. Each hour show takes about an hour and a half to tape. Yeah. So there's not a lot of downtime, and that might sound like a lot, but if you look at other shows like Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader would do 8 or 9 episodes a day. They'd be done with their whole season in like 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Philip, is this your brother?
It's my brother, Philip. Where is Jonathan? I'm right here, Philip.
He's at Patty LaPone's luxury apartment.
Yeah. Oh, the microphone's real. The rest is green screen, but the microphone's actually real.
Oh, see, now I could see it. Now I think your computer moved or something. Now I could tell.
So when you...
Oh my gosh.
What is happening? Oh, no.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Shorts.
That's the real. There it is. There it is. Yeah.
Now your brother really knows where you are. Oh my gosh, that's so surreal.
So you've obviously we worked with you with Wayne for LaughFest, and where did that, because Teresa and I just marveled at you watching you with Wayne, because you guys have such a different energy, but it's like boom, 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 boom. It is, ping pong back and forth, and especially you picking up on things. You're so brilliant at it. Just where did you guys get connected? And because I know you were House Full of Honkies. Did I say it right? Was that right? You did. Right?
You said it very white.
That's when House
Full of honkies.
Yeah, but that's usually white guys don't have problems pronouncing the word honky. But I'm glad you were able to get it right.
Thanks. But that's when I first saw you guys together. And just wondering your career, because it's just been so great seeing the two of you work together, and just kind of how did Let's Make a Deal happen with the two of you as well?
Well, so as far as working with Wayne, when we were doing those 13 shows a week in Orlando, we were doing it together. So we just played together quite a bit, moved out to LA, and just worked so much together. And then when he got Whose Line, he started going on the road, and he brought me with him. So it's show after show after show, thousands of shows. When you work with someone, you get to just know what they like, how it works, what they're thinking before they think it. So it's kind of like a telepathic almost thing that we have developed. When he got Let's Make a Deal, on the old version, Monty Hall was the host, and he had his announcer was named Jay Stewart, and they had a good relationship, and it was kind of, friendly and stuff. And so they said to Wayne, who do you want to be your announcer? And he said, oh, Jonathan. The first thing he said, so cool. They called me up and said, hey, you want to do this? I was like, I've never announced anything before. Like, are you sure? That I don't know. I don't really have the voice. I don't have the voice of that guy,
The Roddy.
So they brought me in, and we were in rehearsal, and I had to read the first thing, which was to describe. In the first days, I wasn't as involved as I am now, like kind of co-hosting it with Wayne. I was just kind of like the announcer, because they didn't know where to put me or what Wayne and I actually did. And they gave me the copy to read of a car, and I'm like, all right. So I read it as doing an impression of a game show host, a game show announcer. Like, it's a new Hyundai, this 2005. And I read it thinking they'd go, okay, quit effing around. And they just go, yeah, that's great. I was like, that was my joke impression of a game show announcer, and you want me to keep doing that? And they go, yeah, that's great. I'm like, okay. So I think that first season I was probably pretty terrible sounding at that kind of stuff.
Well, you did something right.
Yeah, and it does. Yeah, it is definitely more of a co-host than. It's not you can see that. You guys are constantly doing bits.
Yeah.
That's fun. So I want to know, seriously, when I was saying this in your thing, that you don't have an accent, having grown up in Mobile, Alabama. So this is a two-parter question. One, did you work to get rid of that accent, or have you never had one? And two, how do you, when you travel all over the country, do you change the tone of what you're doing based on, do people laugh at different things in different places?
So the accent, I had an accent growing up, but I also knew what it sounded like to not have an accent. My dad was from New Jersey, and he was a broadcaster. So he kind of had that voice where there is no accent, and it's just that perfect Dan Rather sounding voice. So I knew what it sounded like. So it wasn't really that difficult to stop talking with a Southern accent. And as far as You always adjust your show to whatever, wherever you are. If I'm in the deep South, I know that I can make a Biden joke and I'll get a big laugh. And if I'm in California, I'll make a Trump joke and get a bit. You just know where you are and just adjust to the crowd.
I love this comment from your wife.
Give him a drink and it comes back. Oh, the accent. I didn't know to what she was referring, and involved the basement and busting nuts.
My husband is from Detroit and lives in Grand Rapids, which is on the west side of the state. And as we drive across the state, you can hear him kind of get a little more deliberate in his conversation. Not that it's like a Detroit accent, but there is a little more East Coast on the Detroit side. It's subtle, but it's like all of a sudden he'll be like in Michigan, in Grand Rapids, he's like, so I talked to my cousin Jimmy, and when we're in Detroit, he's like, so I talked to Jimmy, and I'm like, what? It just gets in that environment. So is your family still in the South? I mean,
my mother still lives down in it's Mobile, not.
I know. Mobile. I love. She said mobile.
Did I say mobile?
You did.
Mobile, Alabama. It's Mobile, Alabama.
I should know that too. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but you don't.
But I don't. I don't.
They're gonna let you in. You cannot get in Alabama now. You said Mobile wrong. You say Roll Tide though, they let you in.
What are the tourist attractions in Alabama?
The 10 freeway is gorgeous this time of year. Mobile's great. It's actually the Gulf Shores, which is the beach. Yeah. It's really beautiful. White sand beaches. It's like the best of Florida beaches, but less people. So I love it. I love it down there. The food's great. It's got this French. Actually, Mardi Gras started in Mobile before it was ever in New Orleans. So there's this great Mardi Gras celebration. French, Spanish architecture downtown, which is kind of gorgeous. So there's a lot to offer. I like it.
Do you go back very often?
Not too often, with kids being in school all the time. And then I usually work in the summer. So it's tough to even find a vacation time where the whole family can go do anything. But I do love it when I get to go back.
So have you been doing, sorry, go ahead, Patrick. I was just curious. Go ahead.
That just made me think you
No, you go ahead.
You very right now.
You work during the summer, which I knew about. Do you have the freedom? Some people don't have the freedom because of contracts and things like that. Do you have the freedom to develop? I know you've done a few different projects, one with your lovely wife, Leah, and I'm blanking on her name.
Leah Mangum.
No. Who they did Take It From the Top. Jill.
Jill Whelan. So my wife has done a web series called Take It From the Top, which you can go see on Facebook or YouTube. And it's Leah created it with Jill Whelan, who is the girl from The Love Boat. So it's a fun little web series, and they're still coming out with new episodes, but they're doing a lot of using green screens and stuff, so we can still make more episodes. So it's really fun.
Are you then available to do that as well? And are you currently developing anything, or have you? I know you did a couple things about a year ago.
Yeah. So fortunately, the contract on Let's Make a Deal is not exclusive except for game shows. So I couldn't go do another daytime game show, but I could do anything else. So that's great. And I have a bunch of things that I'm working on. I have got probably about 6 or 7 projects right now with different writers and different stages of things. So that's a busy front for me right now.
That's so great.
It's hard to find the right amount of time to service each project, but we're finding a way to do it. So that's exciting.
So COVID hasn't slowed you down?
Nope, not yet. Hopefully not.
That's amazing. I mean, for so many people, it's just been such a crunch, but I think especially with writing, if you can keep developing, that's a skill that you can do anywhere. What's your writing? Do you write in a room? Do you need to get out? Well, that can't happen now, but.
I do write in a room.
I know. I get like at home or something.
There's an oak tree in the pasture that each of the writers. No, when I collaborate with people, I'll usually take turns, write something, send it back. It's like, oh, I'll write this part, you write that part, then we'll switch and notes, and then a lot of the writing is at this point usually outlining stuff where you're not quite at the script yet, where you're typing in the lines that people are saying, but you're working on the story, which again is the hardest part.
Right.
So that a lot of that outlines back and forth and notes, and then changing, and then figuring out things that work or don't work.
And then during COVID, go ahead, Teresa. I'm sorry.
Nope. I was going to ask a last question. So you go.
Well, during COVID, I want to talk about what I was a part of last night, which was so fun, is UJOKES.
Yeah, so I created this show called UJOKES, and it's a live comedy show where I have professional comedians. A lot of the people from Whose Line have been on it, and a lot of actors and personalities I know. And I show a picture or a meme or something, and they compete for a joke on that meme. But then the audience, which is watching live, gets to compete too by typing in their own joke in the Facebook or YouTube chat. Our producer pulls out a good one to go up against the professionals, and then the audience votes on who won. The points don't really matter, but it's just kind of fun to be able to include the audience. And then every week, whoever, because most people don't actually watch it live, more people watch it after the fact, we go and we read all the jokes that people add after the fact, and we invite that person to appear on the next episode in the final round. And you, Mr. Ziegler, won the best audience joke last week. So you got to join us last night on the program.
It's very fun. It's
clever. It's incredibly clever, and it's just perfect for this medium, and really smart.
A lot of people have been trying to do improv scenes, so scenic improv on the web without an audience, and it's some good for them for trying. Maybe they'll find a way that it works well. It's still a little shaky, but just making a joke about a picture is easy. It's visual. You get it right away. There's no story involved or anything. It's just quick jokes, and
did you know that when you were concepting it, you were like, this is a formula that's going to work? Or did you go, oh, wow, we just made a formula that really works? Like, were you intentional?
It was intentional. I like originally the concept. I love the idea of the audience being able to vote. So I like the interactiveness of them voting on something that was the best. So that was kind of a priority in my head. But then I realized, no, them being able to type in the joke is great too.
So this was the last question that I had.
That's my nephew, by the way.
Hi, Daniel Phillips. I hope you are also well.
His father actually did the makeup for Come On Over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
There you go. If you had to choose to only do one thing ever again, to act, because you do drama too.
I've done the drama.
You've done the drama. Acting for film or television, improvising on stage or comedy on stage, writing or producing. I mean, if you had to choose one, could you?
I mean, yeah, I could choose. Are you saying money does not matter anymore? And like, if that's the world, then my favorite thing is to do the improv on stage. That's the best.
Yeah, money doesn't matter. So improv, interesting. Because I wondered, because some people, once they start writing, I mean, obviously, I keep asking writing stuff because Patrick and I are writers.
Yeah.
But I think if I had to do one or the other, that I would probably land in the writing spot. So it's interesting that. But it's so fun to make
no writers really enjoy writing. It's not enjoyable.
It's hard.
Alone with a computer, even when you're writing with someone, it's more fun to do it with someone in the same room, but sitting alone and writing is horrible. And even like all the best authors will tell you too, it's tough. I mean, obviously it's worth it because then they create this great project and people love you and they buy your books and blah, blah, blah. But there's nothing not fun about doing a live show in front of an audience. That's great. You're writing it and directing it, and you're performing in it, and you can do anything you want. There's no rules. So why would you not choose that?
Yeah.
Teresa and I, we've had some fun times writing, and we actually will go to a restaurant and we'll write together in that way. And I'm just remembering that you and Leah did the first table read of our sitcom, I've Got a Life in Kalamazoo, with Ed Asner and Marion Ross. You filled in for 2 people that weren't there. So that's just, we've got such a history.
Yeah.
The Mangum.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was fun.
I have to ask, on the improv note, is there one moment that you can remember that just was like you tanked?
That best moment. Yeah. Okay.
That I tanked. I remember there was an audition for Whose Line. I auditioned for it quite a bit before I got on it, and there was one audition where the setup was the news anchor game, where you're going to be a news anchor, and then this person's a news anchor, and your endowment for the scene is you're running late for someplace you really have to be. That's your endowment. Okay, ready? Go. And so I started off the news. Hello, and welcome to the news program. And I looked at my watch and went, oh, and then I got up and walked out of the audition room and shut the door. But then I then said, well, I'm going to have to commit to this bit. I'm going to probably have to wait here for 3 or 4 minutes for it to be completely committed, because the rules in the game were you'd sit there and do your bit and blah, blah, blah. And they expected me to be like, oh, I really have to be here's the news. But like they wanted all these bits. And I was like, I'm going to break the rules. I'm just going to, if he has to be somewhere, he just leave. So I waited 3 minutes outside the door. Like I'm going to walk in and they're going to be like, bravo. And they were already playing the next game. They didn't even, they're just like, oh yeah, have a seat. I'm like, oh God. So
like my genius. They don't understand my genius.
You have to take those risks. We got somebody saying that they love UJOKES. Jason.
Oh, Jason. Thank you, Jason. Yeah. Thanks for playing.
Isn't that great?
We're going to have a super fun. Our 50th UJOKES episode is coming up this Friday. And you can see it on, you can watch it on UJOKES, YouTube/UJOKES or Facebook.com/The Mangum. And so for our 50th episode, we're doing something really fun. So instead of having 2 celebrities that are competing, the audience is playing, we're randomly pulling 2 audience members that have won in the past, and they're starting it off. And then as the audience plays, when Josh pulls out a good one, we are instantly going to invite that person into the room. The audience will vote. One of the people will leave, and the new person will replace them. So it's a new, we're trying something new for our 50th. Yeah.
It's Facebook.com/The Mangum.
Yes. Or YouTube.com/UJOKES.
Great.
He'll put it in the stream. One of our people did ask, and they're going to watch it later. What is one of your favorite moments in improv? Theirs was specifically Whose Line, but I'll open it up to anything.
One of my favorite ones is it's from Whose Line, and it was because what made it my favorite is that we got the reaction of the guest. So the guest was Gronkowski, the football player. Mm-hmm. And he'd been injured, but he also wasn't playing that year. This was like 5 years ago, whatever. And I think he was going to be playing, but he had been injured. So we weren't sure how versatile he was to move around and stuff. We were singing a song to him, Wayne and I. And I was trying to think of, jokes to sing. And then I thought of this thing where in the song, I'm going to rhyme and ask him to bench press me because he's so strong. And I think the line that I rhyme with was get down on your back and bench press me. And it all depended on A, would he even do it? B, could he do it? Was he injured? He's worth millions and his arms are so important. And am I gonna, like, it just was like a Hail Mary of like, he probably won't. And he got on his back and I leapt and he grabbed me and he just started bench pressing.
God.
And I was like, yes, you did it, Rob Gronkowski. You yes-anded me, and it just made me so happy that you expect that from an improviser to play along and yes-and you, but this is a football player who is, his arm alone is probably insured for $3 million. Is he gonna let some pasty white dude jump on him and bench press? And he did, and it was great. So I'm proud of that.
I love
That's
that you.
great. I feel like I saw that.
Yeah.
Like that is such a vivid memory for me. I feel like I saw that, or I saw it on YouTube or something like that. It feels like it was a moment. Yeah, very fun.
And I love that you threw out the yes and. So
Yes.
that's an improv thing for everybody out there that you yes and anything, right? So you throw something at somebody and they have to yes and it. And I teach some improv stuff, and I talk about how you can use that in your regular life as well. On UJOKES, Colin is great with you on the show.
Oh yeah, I've had Colin Mockery on several times. He came on with his wife, Deb, who's also really funny.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, oh my gosh, it's 7:45.
Yeah, like we got to wrap. Oh my God, 2:45.
Jonathan, this was fantastic. Thank you for being a part of Fubble Time. We have to figure out how many episodes we're at, Teresa. I don't know how many we're at.
I know.
We'll have to count that down. So thank you for kicking off our fall preview of the month.
Sure.
And we'll share with everybody else what's coming up. So thank you, Jonathan.
Of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
We'll see you in the green room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. First of all, what a kind, warm human being. And so multifaceted, talented. And the whole family. I mean, Leah's amazing. Their kids are amazing.
You can't see what he's doing right now in the green room. He's flipping us off. I love it.
And he's an asshole.
But you're right. His family, everybody, and his son now is doing music, which is amazing, and it's so great. So next week, who do we have next week, Teresa?
I don't know. Is that Ed? Is Ed next week or is Karen? Okay.
No, Ed.
Ed Asner is joining us next week. We're excited about that. And then the week after is Karen Frost, executive in television. We're excited. She works for Viola Davis's company. This is going to be a really fun conversation and interesting. And then we're going to close out the month with
the fabulous Marion Ross. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, all TV this month. TV.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because Karen's TV and web, Netflix and Amazon stuff. So we'll hear all about what she's got going on, which is amazing. So
yeah. All right.
Thank you. So as we say,
gotta get out of here.
Gotta go. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.